Good evening, everyone. Welcome to DeKalb Dems Forum for candidates running for commissioners in Districts 3 and Super District 7 in DeKalb County. I'm Steve Parker, Special Events Chair for DeKalb Dems. Tonight, we will hear from candidates on where they stand on issues like housing, economic development, safety, and infrastructure. Please put your questions in the Q&A, not the chat. We have a packed agenda, but we hope to be able to take some questions from our virtual audience. This is a nonpartisan forum. It is streaming on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, and we're recording on YouTube. We ask for your donations to DeKalb Dems so that we can continue to present quality voter educational content to the citizens of DeKalb County. Please consider membership in our organization, and we are always looking for volunteers, especially in this election year. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to Brandy Weish, Chair of DeKalb County Democrats. Brandy.
Mr. Steve, someone needs to promote Madam Chair to the panelists. She's waiting.
Okay, please stand by. While our chairman is coming in, this is a virtual event, and we rely on power and internet. There is a storm coming through. In the event that we are interrupted by weather, we have a plan that will be to gather the responses from all of the candidates participating and put them in a document and email that to everyone that's registered. And we have over 100 people that have registered. And Madam Chair, are you on the call?
I am. Thank you, Steve. I apologize, everyone, for being a few minutes late. I was trying to get in. I was having technical difficulties, as Steve was just talking about. So thank you all for being here. Steve, are you ready for me to kick us off?
We are set. Go ahead.
Excellent. First off, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is here this evening. As Steve said, I know that many are trying to wrestle through this tough hurricane weather that we are starting to endure this evening. But if you are here with us live, thank you so much for being here. Here at DeKalb Dems, we want to make sure that you all have the opportunity to hear the voices of your local candidates, your local elected leaders, and that is really why we are here this evening. It is so important. I know so many are focused right now on a presidential race, and that is incredibly important. However, here in DeKalb, we also have races that we want you all to focus on at the local level as well. So this evening, you'll hear for candidates for Commission District 3 and Super District 7. And it's really important to hear what these candidates have to say, how they plan to take action if and once they are elected, and make sure that you understand really what their platform is and where they stand on certain positions. So we will be asking them questions this evening about all of that, and I want to thank each of them for being here with us this evening. I'd also like to introduce our moderator, Larry Lowe, who is our current, very excited to introduce Larry. He is our current third vice chair here in DeKalb County Dems. He has resided in DeKalb County for nearly 14 years. During this time, he earned a Master's of Science with an emphasis in marketing from Georgia State University. Politically, he oversees our membership development, our party organization, and our diversity and inclusion committees. He also serves as the chair of House District 85 and vice president of DeKalb Young Dems. Previously. In addition, he currently serves as the county as our state party committee member as well as the third vice chair here in DeKalb Dems. So thank you, Larry, so much for being here this evening, and thank you to all of our candidates for being here. And I will pass it over to Larry to get us started.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Board of Commissioners is the legislative branch of DeKalb County. The board levies taxes, makes appropriations, enacts ordinances and resolutions, approves the budget, and considers zoning ordinance. The board is comprised of 7 part-time commissioners, all elected to a 4-year term. DeKalb County is divided into 5 districts with 1 commissioner serving each district. There are also 2 super districts, one on the east end of the county, the other on the west end of the county, each making up about half of the county population. Each super district is served by 1 commissioner. Therefore, every citizen of DeKalb County is served by 2 commissioners, 1 with the district and 1 with the super district. Their mission is to improve the quality of life for stakeholders of DeKalb County through governance, representation, and accountability. And their vision is a commitment to excellence in public service as a way for the people to participate in a responsive government. They define excellence as fulfillment of the mission through embracing and valuing the diversity of the community, creating sound public policy, providing independent oversight, prioritizing and allocating resources, and collaborative problem solving. Their core values are defined as commitment, honesty, fairness, integrity, and stewardship. District 3 serves the southwest part of DeKalb County and includes southern parts of Atlanta and Decatur. Super District 7 serves the east side of DeKalb County and includes Doraville, Tucker, Stone Mountain, Pine Lake, Lithonia, and Stonecrest. Here are the rules. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to make an opening statement. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to answer questions and will have 90 seconds to make a closing statement. We're asking that all candidates do not call out any of the other candidates' name and focus on the issues and policies. We have extended invitations to all candidates to join us tonight. All right, so now we're going to prepare for the opening statements. Again, these are 90-second opening statements. Let's start with the candidates from District 3, Mr. Andrew Walker Bell.
It's Andrew Walter Bell. Good evening. Thank you for the invite, DeKalb Dems. I'm the most versatile candidate here. I went to elementary school in the district, Snapfinger Elementary School. I graduated from Towers High School, that's in the district, 1996. I went to a HBCU, Mississippi Valley State, in 1996. I left to go to the Marine Corps in 1997. Leaving the Marine Corps, and after the Marine Corps, I went to school. While working a full-time job at Bombardier Transportation, I double majored in political science and economics, receiving concentrations in urban growth and quality of the environment, as well as business policy analysis. After graduating, I went to the Federal Aviation Administration, serving there for several years, while starting a real estate investment business, as well as 3 nonprofits. So I'm very well versatile through my life experiences, and being that I'm from here, I have a passion for bringing about a difference and an innovative ingenuity to make the county better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bell. Next, we will have Ms. Nicole Messiah.
Great evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nicole Messiah, and I'm running for DeKalb County Commissioner, District 3. First, I'd like to thank the DeKalb Dems for hosting this forum and for all of you and your level of commitment both to DeKalb and just to democracy in general. I know that we're dealing with like the threats of hurricanes and cyclones, and I'll say that the weather that we are dealing with here in DeKalb right now really reminds me of the political climate that we're dealing with, you know, nationally and locally. We're dealing with brightness and hope, uncertainty, and the possibility of a catastrophic, storm. But the reality of it is we can have chill days ahead if we properly prepare. And what I mean by properly prepare is to vet the candidates and to ensure that we get out and that we vote. I'm committed in my candidacy to make sure that we put people first and that, I fight hard for the community. I do that day in, day out as an attorney, as a broker, and, we have to move DeKalb forward. And I'm running because I am committed to being a part of that change, the change that we need. Like many of you, I've seen all of the obstacles, I've seen the opportunities, and I know that we have the amazing opportunity and chance right here and now to be the best DeKalb, the DeKalb that we deserve. And I am committed to being a part of that change. My better is for an improvement in public safety, community well-being, advocating on behalf of housing affordability and retention, and for driving.
Thank you.
Okay, economic growth. I can't really see the growth.
Okay. All right. And our next candidate from District 3 is Mr. Tommy Travis.
Greetings, Democrats, and all the residents and stakeholders here in DeKalb County District 3. My name is Tommy Travis. I am the next commissioner for DeKalb County District 3. I come before you as the only candidate with over 20 years of public service experience, and 10 years of that has been serving DeKalb County in various roles, from volunteering to appointed roles to serving the DeKalb County Public Works Department. So I come before you with the only inside knowledge or in-hand knowledge of how things get done in DeKalb County. And I'm the only candidate with real experience and a real plan to get things done here in DeKalb County District 3. I come before you with my top pillars, which is public safety. With public safety, I plan to fully fund public safety and get the staffing back to the numbers where it needs to be to fully serve DeKalb County. I plan to revitalize the economic development here in DeKalb County District 3, starting with supporting our businesses that are still here. We want to stop them from closing up. Third thing, I want to support our seniors. We need to make sure that they have a quality of life and they can continue to live out their years in peace and with a certain level of enjoyment. Also, I want to undergird our educational department by providing wraparound services to our students and parents in the lower served areas here in DeKalb County District 3. Functionally speaking, I'm the only candidate, like I said, who has a plan. I'm the only candidate who has experience and the know-how and the tenacity to get things done. Lastly,
Thank you. And the next candidate for District 3 is Ms. Jacqueline Jake Wells.
Yes, good evening. Actually, my name is Jacqueline Jake Walls. I appreciate you all having this forum tonight, DeKalb Dems. Like I said, my name is Jacqueline Jake Walls. Jake is my nickname. I am named after my father. I have served DeKalb County for altogether 16 years as a firefighter and EMT. I have a nonprofit where I focus on youth programs at local elementary schools, rec centers, and parks. Some of those programs include horticulture. I also have a non-emergent transportation company here in DeKalb County, where I transport seniors who are wheelchair or ambulatory. They need to go back and forth to their doctor's appointments. One thing that I know by living in DeKalb and by serving DeKalb is that District 3 needs a leader. We need a leader that's a proven leader, first of all, someone that's proven to be a servant, and someone that is proven to include the community. And that is one thing that I have already proven to do. Some of my priorities in which I feel District 3 needs to focus on is economic development. You have public safety, code compliance, infrastructure, as well as affordable housing. Now, all these work together. Without one, you can have the other. The foundation in DeKalb District 3 is strong, and it's something that we could build on. We just need a leader that's forward thinking and that could get things done. So when you go to the ballot, November 5th, elect Jake Walls, Jacqueline Jake Walls for District 3.
Thank you, Ms. Walls. All right, let's start with the Super District 7 candidates, Ms. Jacqueline Adams.
Good evening, DeKalb Dems. I'm before you today not only as a candidate for Commissioner of Super District 7, but as a dedicated community leader, a mother, a businesswoman, and above all, an advocate for the people of DeKalb County. My candidacy is rooted in who I am, a leader with deep integrity, unwavering character, and a lifelong commitment to service. Unfortunately, this campaign has been some underhanded tactics. My opponent, who is also a preacher, has chosen to engage in political games, bringing a known adversary to public forums in an attempt to antagonize me. Our preacher should be a beacon of integrity and not resort to spreading misinformation in an effort to divide us. Additionally, there have been reports of candidates using their current county position to further their campaigns, an unethical practice that
Ms.
erodes
Adams,
trust.
Ms. Adams, I'm going to pause you for just a moment.
Yes.
If you could just please focus all of your answers on your candidacy and your focus areas as opposed to the other candidates, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm not here to dwell on distractions. I'm here to lead with love and purpose. My roots in this community run deep. Over 40 years ago, I began my professional journey as a business owner, co-founding a transportation company and opening my own salon at just 23. This experience instilled in me a strong work ethic, perseverance, and the importance of dedication, qualities that have defined my leadership ever since. Today, I'm before you not to seek power, but to continue working for the betterment of DeKalb County. My campaign is about safety, economic development, and ensuring equitable resources. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. The next candidate for Super District 7 is Dr. Ladina Bolton.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. You guys know me as the House District Chair for District 85, the co-chair of Affirmative Action, and the former Vice President of DeKalb Young Dems. But allow me to reintroduce myself as Ladina Bolton, mother of 3 boys in DeKalb schools, wife of a DeKalb science educator. I was raised in DeKalb, but just as important, I am running to be your next Super District 7 Commissioner. You guys, leadership experience matters. In addition to what we've accomplished as an organization, my leadership in the community helped bring over $320,000 in resources that has helped over 16,000 DeKalb families, because leadership experience matters. As a scientist and program manager for the Coca-Cola Company and the Army, I've been responsible for making decisions that impact the quality of product and the quality of service delivered to each of you. I have managed millions in assets and put processes in place to improve not only efficiency, but also service delivery. All of these skills are required to be an effective commissioner. I am the candidate that isn't just ready to work on day one, but is equipped to lead on day one. From one strong leader in DeKalb to another, I urge you to vote not for the candidate that describes the issues the best, but the candidate that is best qualified to lead us to a job well done. I am Ladina Bolton, and I would be honored to be your next Super District 7 Commissioner.
Thank you. Next, we're going to have Mr. Demetrius McCoy.
Thank you so much, Larry. Thank you, Chair Brandy Weish. And listen, I'm happy to be here tonight. I am Demetrius the Real McCoy. I'm a steady hand moving us forward. And I'll tell you what, I was born and raised in DeKalb County. It's a place where my parents had their small business. So I understand not only what it takes to run the county, but I also understand what small business owners need. You know, it's a place that I've gained the values of service to community and service to others. And this is how my wife, Dr. Mariah McCoy, an educator at Stone Mountain Elementary, and I are raising our boys, Demetrius Jr. and Malik. You know, it's really important for us to understand that these are the same values that I take with me today as to work as a chief of staff and also as a pastor in our community. It's all about service to community and commitment to people. You know, there are 3 issues that I'm focused on: safe communities, number 1, also investing in our roads and our infrastructure, and finally, service delivery. My 10 years of experience working in DeKalb has not only equipped me with leadership, but it's equipped me with the know-how to get things done. And so I look forward to, as we go to the ballot to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, let's make sure we vote all the way down the ballot and vote the real McCoy, focused on real issues, but making real results. Thank you. I look forward to tonight's discussion.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. And next we have Mr. Kenneth Royal.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kenneth Royal, and I'm running for County Commissioner for District 7 because our community deserves strong, accountable leadership. As a husband, father, and the son of immigrants, I know the struggles of working families. And as the only candidate with a background in law enforcement, I understand the importance of keeping our streets safe and our community and keep it community focused. Our county has incredible potential, but we've been held back by outdated systems and lack of transparency. I'm running to change that, ensuring affordable housing is a reality, boosting our economic growth, and improving our infrastructure, all while making sure government decisions are made openly with accountability to the people. While my experiences in human resources, financial leadership, and of course, law enforcement, I know how to get results and deliver on real change. But this campaign isn't just about me. It's about us and what we can achieve together. I'm ready to fight for a safer, stronger, more prosperous DeKalb, and I look forward to telling you more about myself and my plan to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Royal. All right, so that was the end of the intros for the candidates. Let's move forward to the questions. The first question is a workforce housing ordinance in 2023 that promotes increased density, relaxes parking requirements, and increases height minimums passed unanimously by the Board of Commissioners. How will you upsell these changes to the community? Let's start with Mr. Royal.
Address the housing affordability crisis by creating more options for middle income families, young professionals, and essential workers. I'll actively engage with community groups to show how how increasing density means more vibrant, walkable neighborhoods, and how relaxed parking requirements encourage public transportation and reduce traffic congestion. I'll also highlight the benefits like improved local economics, increased property values, and the ordinance's role in preventing displacement, which is all very community. I'll ensure that the community understands this as a proactive. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roy. And just to let you know, I don't know if it was just me, but there were kind of interruptions in your speech, so you might want to check that. Next up on the list for candidate for Super District 7, let's go to Ms. Jacqueline Adams. Same question.
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yes. A workforce housing ordinance in 2023.
Okay. I got it. I'm sorry. In 2023, DeKalb County took a bold step with the passage of the workforce housing ordinances. And this policy promotes increased density, relaxed parking requirements, and height adjustments. It's all designed to support the development of affordable housing without compromising the quality of life. And as a commissioner, I will highlight how the ordinances ensures that we are not only meeting housing demands, but also protecting our neighborhoods. The goal is to accommodate growth thoughtfully while maintaining privacy and reducing parking concerns. I will engage with the community through open forums to explain these benefits and gather input to ensure these ordinance works for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, let's go to Dr. Ladina Bolton.
Thank you. And I do echo some of the sentiments iterated by the other candidates. We know that workforce housing does refer to affordable housing options specifically designed for our essential workers, people that were here to help us get through the 2020 pandemic. So this is going to help improve our quality of life. And these folks are here to improve our quality of life. So we absolutely want enough teachers to fill our schools. We want more public safety officers protecting our streets. We want more healthcare workers available to keep our communities healthy. This also helps ensure that communities can retain and attract the workforce needed to support the economic development that we've been asking for in DeKalb for years now. In addition to addressing the housing shortage, we know that up to most of the families in DeKalb, they spend as much as 30%, 1/3 of their income on housing, which leaves less money for food and activities, different things we need for our children.
Thank you, Dr. Bolton. All right, so let's go to Mr. Demetrius McCoy.
Thank you, Larry, for that question. The reality is that it costs a lot to live for families. Families are having to choose, as someone else has said, whether they're going to pay their rent or whether they're going to eat. This ordinance is one that I promote by simply letting folks know that we've got to increase the quality of life. And by doing that, we're promoting walkability of our communities. It engages, allows our communities to engage a little bit more together. The other thing is that we must make sure that our police officers who work our communities, those educators who serve our communities, and all those essential folks who are here have the option to live, work, play, and even worship in their community without having to leave their community. And so it's one that we would do and engage by making sure that folks understand that they have a voice in what's done in their community. And I do that by taking the issues to the people, as I have always done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Same question for District 3 candidates. A workforce ordinance, housing ordinance in 2023 that promotes increased density, relaxes parking requirements, and increasing height minimums passed unanimously by the Board of Commissioners. How will you upsell these changes to the community? Let's start with Ms. Walls.
Yes, as your commissioner for DeKalb County District 3, one thing that I do believe in is that we need to build this district together, which means we need to include the community, the existing community that is already there, the neighbors, the residents that are already in those areas. So one way we could include them is by educating them and informing them of what's going on and what's taking place in their community. The means of doing that, we could have the newsletter, make sure we bring out communications to them so they could be aware of those through newsletters, through meetings, community meetings, town hall meetings, and make sure we have a CEO included in one of those meetings as well, if possible. But yeah, we need to educate and inform our residents of the changes that's going to happen.
Thank you. Let's go to Mr. Andrew Bell.
I'm for workforce housing. Definitely, I think it's a good asset to employ those that work for the county into the community. We don't need a lot of people that's, coming from outside of the community that are not familiar with the issues in the community. But I don't like the wording of the question. I used to sell curb and vacuum cleaners when I was in high school, and I also sold Marriott Vacation Club packages in high school, my senior year in high school. I'm not going to upsell anybody. So I don't like that upsell. I'm not upselling anybody. So if it works, and it's feasible and it makes sense, then I think it's promoted easily. I think a component to that is the lack of accessible public transportation in a lot of these areas too. The lack of salaries not keeping up with the rate of inflation, so forth, etc. But to the point at hand, workforce housing. I'm for workforce housing. It's kind of tongue twister for me, and I think it's needed because the price of housing is going sky high.
Thank you.
And a lot of these public officials can't afford it.
Thank you. Next candidate, Ms. Nicole Messiah.
To my understanding, the intent of the workforce housing ordinance was to create initiatives for developers to come in and to be able to include greater price points, particularly for those residents who have a moderate or low income. And according to the Long Range Planning Division, there's several redevelopment corridors happening. There's Caleb Road, the I-20 Overlay District, and Flat Shoals, all that have dense neighborhoods and have the capacity for those particular developments. I'm not like Mr. Bell. I'm not sure about upselling. I don't necessarily love that term either, but the community does need economic development, quality economic development units to increase our overall market analysis numbers, making us more attractive to grocery stores, restaurants, some of the amenities that we need in our community to be able to enjoy and spend money in our own neighborhoods.
Thank you. And the next candidate, Mr. Tommy Travis.
Right. Thank you, Larry. That ordinance, as you guys heard, I'm not going to repeat a lot of what was already said, but it was definitely in an effort to spur economic development. But I like the idea of using it for workforce housing permanently because of the fact that it would be a good recruiting tool. Now, to promote it to the neighbors and residents in the area and the stakeholders in the area, I also will use digital technologies such as telephone town halls, the newsletters, it's things that I already do to let the neighbors and the residents know what's going on, to hear their input, to hear their thoughts, also to get buy-in from the developers and see what they're getting and what they're buying into, because District 3 has the most undeveloped land here in DeKalb County. So having this would be a great, initiative would be a great build or a great asset to DeKalb County District 3 and our residents.
Thank you. And our next question is, what will be your voting guide for rezoning and development? Let's start again with the District 3 candidates. Mr. Tommy Travis.
Repeat the question, Larry, please.
Yes, what will be your voting guide for rezoning and development?
My voting guide for,
Yes, for rezoning and development.
My voting guide?
Yes.
What would I use as my rubric? Okay, as a member of the DeKalb County Community Council District 3, one of the things I always use to before I make a decision for or against an item that comes before me is to see if there was any kind of community buy-in. The applicants for any kind of zoning changes have to follow a process from staff. And first of all, we make sure they follow that process. If they haven't engaged the neighbors or haven't engaged the neighborhood, then that's a no for me right away, because of the fact that they haven't talked to the neighbors around there. I ask for names, I ask for a signature list, I ask for it, and to try to see the buy-in from the neighborhood. If they haven't engaged the neighborhood, I give them a chance because they are the property owners. I give them a chance to go back and do it again. So my voting rubric, for lack of a better term, is always to make sure that the neighborhoods or the neighbors were engaged and aware of the development that's going on. And if they're aware and they don't have an opinion about it and everything, and the staff is okay with it, then I'm okay with it. If not, we're gonna throw it out and try again, and then send them back and try again.
All right, thank you. Next, Ms. Walls.
Yes, as far as with the rezoning, one thing you can do is make sure you follow the law. So that's what we would do. We will follow the law and then refer to the zoning and planning and see what their recommendations are, and then bring the community involved as well, include the community in those decisions. Because that's what's most important, the community knowing and having the decisions in their community for the zoning and development.
Thank you. Ms. Messiah.
So, simply my voting guide is the urgency of the people that I represent. I already do that day in, day out, where I'm the legal voice, for the best interest of folks. For me, and for DeKalb County in District 3, it's about what the community wants and needs. And I believe that it's also important to ensure that we have the appointments fulfilled in boards like the Community Council and Planning Commission that are supposed to be the eyes and the ears when it comes to things like rezoning and development. These boards are crucial in addressing the needs and development for the community. Unfortunately, there's some decisions that have been favored at the expense of the neighbors and neighborhoods. For instance, the cutting of Tree Bluff It's important just to make sure that the community has a seat at the table at the beginning and not after development has already taken place and the plans are in motion.
Thank you. Mr. Bell?
Okay. District 3, South DeKalb County, has been the #1 area for these parasitic businesses. #1, these gas stations, really casinos parading as gas stations, these storage units that's taking up prime property. We have a big storage container unit facility on Memorial Drive. That's gonna stop if I'm a commissioner. There needs to be a 10-year moratorium on these gas stations and these storage facilities that are parasitic and bring down the value of the community. Secondly, we need to hire someone, a proven person who's revitalized a small town, a small city, a large city, to be in charge of the planning department. They have engineers in charge of the planning department. They know nothing about development. They have no plans. That's why the county looks like it is. If people have been serving in the county for 20 years, they've done nothing. They have no leadership. They have no ideas. The only thing they want to do is continue the same thing that's been going on.
Thank you. Now let's move forward to the Super District 7 candidates. Let's start with Mr. Demetrius McCoy. What will be your voting guide for rezoning and development?
Thank you, Larry. Communicate, communicate, communicate. It's very simple. The voting guide is certainly to always have your ear to the ground, talking to the folks you represent. But then we also have to have smart economic growth. Everything and every development is not good development. It's already been said, and I don't have to repeat it for us to know. There's certain things that we just don't need any more of in our communities. And so the question is, how does the community feel about it? The 3 questions we need to ask ourselves. Number 1 is who does it impact? What is it they want to bring in our communities? And number 3, how will it impact our environment? We have to also be sure to look at the environmental justice issues and challenges that some developments bring and make sure that every development we bring is healthy for the community for which it intends to be located. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Dr. Bolton.
Thank you. So one thing that you have heard me iterate before is that DeKalb is the 4th largest county in the state, but we fall below the top 10 counties for growth and development. This is due to several factors, but is in large part hindered by how we have zoned our county for development. And we have the cheat sheet. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. There are 3 areas that we have to prioritize in order to make better decisions for growth, development, sustainability. And that's number 1, our biggest stakeholder, which is the residents. They have to be engaged and included in the process. Number 2 is our county's comprehensive master plan. Tells us exactly what we want over the next couple decades. And number 3, DeKalb Schools comprehensive master plan is what we need. It's these 3 things collectively that attracts businesses, jobs, improve public safety, all the things that we are looking for to make sure we have the best possible rezoning and development for the best possible quality of life.
Thank you, Dr. Bolton. Let's move to Mr. Kenneth Roy.
Thank you, and I hope my internet holds up. But my voting guide will be, my voting guide for rezoning and development will be centered on 4 key principles: balanced growth, community input, sustainability, and long-term benefits. First, I'll prioritize projects that encourage smart growth, development that addresses housing needs while protecting green spaces and avoiding congestion. Second, community input will be essential. I'll make sure residents are heard and involved in decisions that affect their neighborhoods. Third, I'll address the environmental impacts of each proposal to ensure we promote sustainability practices. Lastly, I'll focus on development that fosters long-term economic growth, creating jobs, and bringing in services that support our existing communities. We must grow responsibly, ensuring that development benefits everyone and preserves the character of DeKalb County. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, let's go to Ms. Jacqueline Adams.
So my voting guide for rezoning and development would be centered around community involvement. I can't say it enough. Community involvement. I believe every decision must reflect the needs and concerns of the residents I serve. By maintaining an open door policy and engaging in active dialogue with constituents, I will ensure that development benefits the community and promotes long-term economic growth. And decisions will be based on fairness and sustainability and the overall improvement of the public safety, infrastructure, and housing in our district. Community involvement. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is the DeKalb County's Board of Commissioners unanimously approved the creation of the Southwest DeKalb Tax Allocation District, also known as TAD, using anticipated increases in property values for investments to finance debt or fund improvements. This is the most recent use of TAD throughout the county. Do you support this approach to development across your district? Let's start with the Super District 7 candidates, Dr. Bolton.
Absolutely. I would absolutely support this. This is a multilateral approach to improving the quality of life in target communities, primarily in South and Central DeKalb. We've seen primarily what it does is it helps us to get that revenue without enforcing the burden of increasing taxes, which we've seen quite a bit of over the past 2 years. And then it ensures that the revenue generated in a community is actually reinvested back into that community. So broadly across the county, we've seen an increase in property values as much as about 132% in some areas. That's a significant amount of revenue that can be used for public infrastructure, code enforcement, streetlights, all these different improvements. Now, it isn't something that would add value in all of the communities or districts across DeKalb. We would have to target those that are traditionally underserved, but it also brings economic development in those areas. So these districts bring improvements that we need to see in areas such as South DeKalb and in the Kensington area.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go to candidate Jacqueline Adams. Same question.
For sure, I support the tax allocation district as a powerful tool to stimulate development in underserved areas without placing additional tax burdens on residents. Okay, it's the South DeKalb TAD has demonstrated its effectiveness in promoting smart, sustainable growth. Expanding the use of TADs will help transform unutilized spaces into thriving areas of commerce and residential development, positioning our district for long-term prosperity while protecting the taxpayers. And that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you. Let's go to candidate Kenneth Royal.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I do support the use of tax allocation districts as a strategic tool for developing across this district. TAD allows us to fund crucial infrastructure projects and revitalization efforts without placing additional tax burdens on residents. By capturing those increased property values, we can reinvest in our community by improving roads, schools, and public safeties, which attract new businesses and job opportunities. In DeKalb, for example, in some areas, the TAD has helped transform underdeveloped areas into thriving economic hubs, and this model can be applied throughout the county. However, it's important that it's important that these funds are responsibly and transparently used. Community input will be essential on deciding how these developments unfold to ensure that they meet the needs of the current residents and preserve the unique character of our neighborhoods. TADs, when managed well, are a win-win for both economic development and quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Demetrius McCoy.
It doesn't take a genius for any of us to look across the district and see desolate areas that need to be redeveloped. The other candidates have already told you what a TAD is, so I want to give you a practical perspective. When you look at North DeKalb Mall that was recently torn down in a new development that's being built there, Lula Hills, a $71 million development that's going to have an impact on that community. I can imagine many places, both in the 7th district and across DeKalb, where we could use that same type of investment. And so without question, absolutely, I support the usage of this tool that allows us not only to build up and reinvest in communities that have great desperate need for it, but it also allows us to have an economic tool to attract the best and the brightest of companies and institutions to our county so that we can see the future for our children that we know they deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go now to District 3 candidates. Do you support TAD for development across your district? Let's start with candidate Tommy Travis.
Thank you, Larry. I absolutely support the TAD and this, and you've heard a lot of definitions for the TAD, so I'm not going to go back down that road. But practically speaking, it is the implementation of the plan that I have to sustain the businesses in Southwest DeKalb, which is you can use the TAD to help build up business, sustain those businesses, and have those businesses thrive and attract more businesses. The TAD currently right now, it's based upon the funds that it collects via taxes. So right now, I'm not sure if it passed yet. Mr. McCoy probably can answer that, but I'm not sure if it passed yet. But there was a referendum before the commissioners to put forward a bond so that we can borrow money against the TAD for future purposes. So these businesses go ahead and enjoy that money now and start revitalizing Southwest DeKalb right now. So I absolutely support the TAD. I support it. I will use it, and that's how I will continue to promote businesses in Southwest DeKalb and move us forward.
Thank you. Let's go to Ms. Messiah.
There have been a number of funding allocation challenges in DeKalb, and particularly in District 3. However, I definitely support the use of the Southwest DeKalb TAB revenue for, improving future developments, as long as they specifically benefit the districts and the district and the neighborhood. Those funds need to be used for the improvement purposes and realized by the neighborhoods. The TAD should ensure that more of our tax money in D3 stays in D3 for improvement of infrastructure, sidewalks, housing, transportation, all of which lends itself to making us more attractive to the type of projects that we want in our community. I support it as long as we are transparent and the community is involved in ensuring that their tax funds are going to these projects for their benefit.
Thank you. Mr. Bell.
This subject is a little bit complicated for me. Of course, I have a degree in economics. I don't know if the government has ever been successful in using tax money to for the purpose of private development. But I live in probably the most disenfranchised community in the county, and that's Glenwood and I-285. And there are funds that are much needed. Now, I think if you do a TAD, it needs to go to public uses that we know we can use, that we know are going to be beneficial for the public. As far as private development, we have to attract private developers that have a plan, that an overall plan to improve a vast area in which we can have retail, large retail, small retail, live, work, and play environment. But using TAD for public use, I have no problem with it.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. And Ms. Walls.
Yes, as we know, District 3 is a very unique district. Love it. We have a great foundation. Anything that will honestly protect our taxpayers in District 3, as long as it protects our taxpayers in District 3, then it's a good thing. So as your commissioner, I would do that research. That research needs to be done so that we as District 3, as a community, as neighbors, together as residents, can attach businesses to District 3 that will cater, businesses and projects to District 3 that will cater to our communities and what we need and what we want in our communities.
Thank you. Let's go on to our next question. How will you ensure safety in DeKalb County? Let's start with Super District 7 candidates. Let's start with Ms. Jacqueline Adams.
So thank you for that question. And you said, how will you ensure safety in DeKalb County?
Yes.
Public safety is one of my top priorities. With my personal connections to law enforcement, with my husband being a former DeKalb police and Emory police officer, I understand the importance of a well-equipped, well-trained police force. I will work closely with law enforcement leadership to ensure officers receive the resources and training they need to protect our communities. This includes advocating for fair compensation and retention effects to keep qualified officers on the force. Additionally, I will promote community policing initiative to build stronger relationships between our law enforcement and residents. It's enhancing trust and safety for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to candidate Kenneth Royal.
Thank you. As someone who has served both as a police officer and a correctional officer, I bring firsthand knowledge of what it takes to ensure community safety. My approach is rooted in a deep understanding of law enforcement, but also recognizing the needs for a broader community-focused drive. First, I will advocate for stronger community policing. Officers should not only respond to a crime, but build relationships within neighborhoods they serve. This trust ensures for effective law enforcement and crime prevention. Additionally, I'll push for more resources in mental health and crisis intervention training for officers. As someone who has been on the front line, I can understand how critical it is to equip law enforcement with the skills to handle mental health situations without escalation, ensuring that both residents and officers remain safe. Finally, I believe public safety extends beyond just policing. It's about addressing root causes like poverty, lack of opportunities, and inadequate housing. By working closely with law enforcement agencies, community leaders, and local organizations, I will create a comprehensive strategy that makes DeKalb safer for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Mr. Demetrius McCoy.
Thank you, Larry. Here's the deal: that it's clear that we first, before we talk about police response, we've got to talk about being able to get through to E911 when you pick up the phone and dial to get the police there. So we must invest and make sure we have the tools available that we can have operators fully staffed that we can answer those phones. Secondly, as others have already said, community policing, because we must have an approach where our officers know our communities, and we have many tools in place already, but we've got to strengthen that, such as Coffee with a Cop, etc. But we got to strengthen that relationship. We must invest in our officers also. And then we also have to remember that the community involvement, there used to be a saying when I was growing up that the school cannot live apart from the community. The reality is our policing cannot live apart from the community. They have to be integrated, and our community should know our police. We also have to take advantage and opportunity to invest in technology. The board just recently took action that will place flock cameras in various areas that we know are high crime areas. And I think we should continue to do measures that will make sure our families are safe in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go to Dr. Bolton.
Thank you, Larry. As a former chemist for the Army, safety is, of course, one of my top priorities for our community vision. I'm an advocate for increasing the number of public safety officers that are protecting our communities. And we have to do that by making those positions more attractive. So it does include competitive wages and benefits, workforce housing. But in addition, as commissioner, I will advocate for initiatives that facilitate an environment where they can be successful. This means we have to implement crime prevention strategies, hold code enforcement accountable, and invest more in mental health. We all know that about 40,000 detainees pass through DeKalb's jail every year. Over 70% of them are treated for mental health issues. So based on the math, we could potentially reduce crime in our county by up to 70% simply by being more intentional with our management of mental health rather than just treating the symptoms. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move to District 3 candidates. The question is, how will you ensure safety in DeKalb County? Let's start with Ms. Walls.
Yes, as we know, I was a firefighter EMT for DeKalb for all of us, 16 years. So safety is very important for me, not only just in crimes, but also prevention, your health, that portion, prevention of fires, prevention of things that could possibly harm you in your community. One thing I do know that we have a good foundation, a good, strong department, but that we could build on. So that's what we need to do. We need to build on it and include the community in building on that foundation, that department, by not only supporting our fire department and supporting our fire and police department, but also supporting our community so that, like I said, we could build that bond together so that we could work together to make DeKalb safe for not only the employees that are keeping us safe, but for also the communities that are needing to be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Mr. Bell.
Yes. First of all, you know, the police general fund was cut by about 600,000 last year. So the people that are in office now, they're not genuine about, you know, public safety. The thing is, like another candidate said, I think you have to shore up the 911 operators first. I was on a call not too long ago for almost 10 minutes. If I had been in distress or a real emergency, there's no telling what might have happened to me. So you have to start from a foundation, get the 911 operator straight first. I don't think probably right now with technology and everything, cameras and so forth, you could probably keep the same amount of officers, but hire a better officer. Hire an officer that knows the community, that supports the community, that's not aggressive with the community, that's not afraid of the community. And along with that, you can raise the salaries of a motivated officer that wants to be here, along with technology, and keep the budget around about the same. But we don't need to be cutting budgets like we've been doing. We need to put that $600,000 back, along with more money for the 911 operators, and if necessary, you know, once you
Thank you,
get
Mr.
that
Bell.
straight. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Ms. Messiah.
So I believe that I can help to ensure the safety in DeKalb County by supporting and funding efforts that actually address the issue. The issues include and surrounding improving the responsiveness of offers. Some of the issues related to addressing the DeKalb Atlanta 911 discrepancies, which are ongoing, even though they've gotten better. We need to address increased displacement of individuals by providing additional mental health and support services. We need to address issues related to code compliance and some of those challenges that lend themselves to crime and the devaluing of neighborhoods in our county. We also need to promote a culture of leadership and the understanding that we serve the community, they don't serve us, and provide actual public service that the residents pay for.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Tommy Travis.
Thank you, Larry. Public safety is one of my pillars of my campaign, and I support public safety to the fullest degree. In fact, last week I met with officers and firefighters, DeKalb officers and firefighters, to hear what they wanted and what they needed. And I was surprised to hear that a salary was one of them, but the main thing that they wanted was security, and security meaning that they wanted a pension, a separate pension to give them safety and security, provide for their loved ones, to provide for their loved ones when they retire. So first thing I would do is provide, once we have our numbers right, definitely we will provide a pension for our firefighters and our officers that would allow them to live in peace. And that would be a recruiting tool that we could do to attract more officers. Second, I heard another candidate say about 911. I do believe that 911, the staffing levels over there is an issue. So I think that we could bring in technology to help the 911 officers not handle so many non-emergency calls and redirect them to the appropriate place.
Thank you. All right, so let's move on to our next question. DeKalb has received much criticism about its water billing process, which disproportionately impacts certain communities. Yet, the county needs much needed water and sewage infrastructure improvements. Do you support raising water rates? Let's go with Mr. Kenneth Royal, candidate for Super District 7. Okay, we may have lost Kenneth. Let's go to
I'm here.
Dr. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm here. My apologies. Rising water rates should always be last resort. While I recognize that DeKalb's water and sewage infrastructure urgently needs improvement, it's essential that we first explore all available funding options. We've secured federal funding through infrastructure law and the American Rescue Plan, and I believe we should prioritize those resources to minimize the financial burdens on our residents. Additionally, it's crucial that we address the ongoing issues with the county's water billing process before any rate increases are considered. We cannot continue to ask residents to pay more when the system disproportionately impacts certain communities and remains inefficient. I will work to ensure that any potential rate adjustments are transparent, equitable, and only enacted after we've exhausted all funding options, including state and federal grants. Finally, we need to improve the management and accountability of the funds we already have to ensure that every dollar is used effectively to improve our water infrastructure. Only when all other avenues are explored would I consider supporting a rate increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Let's go to Mr. McCoy.
Thank you, Larry. I think it's essential that we use the resources that we have available to us. What I mean by that is we've seen through Build Back Better infrastructure that's passed by the Biden-Harris administration. We know that certainly we look forward to a Harris administration and Walz administration that would allow us to continue those improvements. And so we've got to have strong relationships with our federal partners and other partners that will help us to look at the resources that we have to be able to address issues. The reality is, if you look at Flint, Michigan, if you look at the water crisis there, what we don't want to happen is to have that here in DeKalb. And so while I don't want to see a tax increase because I'm a taxpayer just like everyone else here on our residents, I certainly would like to look at all funding options available before we use a resort of increasing the water rate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go to Dr. Bolton.
Larry, it's important to talk about environmental justice when discussing solutions to DeKalb's water billing issues. And as a scientist, I've supported environmental justice organizations such as DeKalb Water Watch and the EJ Legislative Work Group and their goals to help address these issues, including bringing in those experts to come and work with DeKalb Dems, talk to DeKalb Dems, educate us as advocates so we can bring it to the community. I would support first an assessment to determine the trends that we see occurring, what communities are being impacted, the range of overbilling we're seeing so that we can adequately address the issues. Thus far, I've seen up to $10,000 in water bills for a 12,000 square foot single family home. Considering that we still do not have any representation in District 3 and District 7, now is not the time to increase water rate, but to put measures in place to improve the billing system. And as a program manager in corporate America, this is what I was challenged to do. Put measures in place to improve the workflow through process improvements globally.
All right, and let's go to Ms. Jacqueline Adams.
Thank you, Larry, for the question. At this time, no, I don't support the raising of the water rates. DeKalb County had already been addressing critical water and sewage infrastructure issues through its capital improvement program. Rather than further burdening residents, I believe we must focus on ensuring that the current efforts are completed efficiently and effectively. Only once we have thoroughly evaluated the outcomes of these improvements and should we consider any potential rate change. So, no.
Thank you. Let's go to the District 3 candidates. Do you support the raising of water rates? Let's start with Ms. Messiah.
I can't say that I necessarily do. I've not been privy to some of the internal discussions regarding the current rate increase proposals. So that's the reason why I can't say for certainty whether I support them. I will say that as a legal professional, I take seriously compliance of agreements, and I'm ready from day one to review the terms of the consent decree program. And my understanding is that you need a lawyer to be able to do those things, just because of the complex legal jargon. And we have to make sure that we're in compliance with what the federal government is requiring us to do by the deadline, or else we'll find ourselves in additional hot water, which is going to create additional challenges for the county.
Thank you. Mr. Bell?
Well, I can remember when there were no fees associated with the water. Everything was based on a water rate that was billed. That changed in 2007 when there was the so-called drought that the Chattahoochee River and all the lawsuits or whatever, and we don't even get our water from the Chattahoochee. But there was a $19 fee placed on everybody's bill. Okay, and then in the last few years, the water rate has increased 6% on a couple of occasions. So my thing is to audit the water department to see where all of this money was collected and how it was spent, because the $19 fee is still on there, and it wasn't on there before 2007. So there hasn't been that much development since 2007 until now. So it seems like it's a mismanagement of money, and they're constantly want to increase this is not the first time. So we need to figure out what's going on with the money before we increase any more increases in the water bill.
Thank you. Ms. Walls?
Yes. Do I support raising water rates for our residents? No, I do not. I do not support that. I do understand that we have old pipes. We have over 3,000 miles of pipes that need to be changed throughout DeKalb County altogether. But before we raise the rates for our citizens and our people, our communities, I believe I, as your commissioner for District 3, will find federal programs to offset that pay for the sewage infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tommy Travis?
Thank you, Larry. Time will not permit me to go into detail about my position, but to put it shortly, I can't say that I support a water rate increase or opposed to it. But one thing I will do once I become commissioner is I will get boots on the ground and talk with Watershed Director Hayes and get with his team and have them give me a comprehensive assessment of their system and find out where our deficiencies are. If they haven't figured it out already, they're going to figure it out once I become commissioner, because we need to know before we put any extra taxation on our residents. We need to know what we're being taxed for. Like I said before, but like someone said before, it's taxation without representation. I don't want to have put any unnecessary taxes or any unnecessary burdens on our residents for something that maybe should not be. So I definitely want to get to the bottom of it and find out, get to the privy conversation, read the details, and figure out what's the best course of action.
Thank you. Our next question is: DeKalb has received or will receive federal funds via the infrastructure law, the American Rescue Plan, and possibly a housing development plan. Some of these funds have an expiration date for use. How will you prevent politics from slowing down the process? Let's start again with our District 3 candidates. Mr. Tommy Travis.
All right, I gotta admit, I wasn't listening to the question fully. I didn't think you were starting back with me again. So could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sure. So DeKalb has received or will receive federal funds via the infrastructure law, the American Rescue Plan, and possibly a housing development plan. Some of these funds have an expiration date for use. How will you prevent politics from slowing down the process?
First thing I would do was look at each individual fund allocation and find out what the parameters are. For example, there was the Board of Commissioners just voted in a grant from the federal government to build sidewalks on Rainbow Drive and Columbia Drive. But the fine print of that allocation, it was a $75,000 allocation. The fine print of that allocation is that we had to match those funds with $3 million in SPLOST funds. So we need to look at the fine print and find out what we have to give, because a lot of the grants, we have to give something to get something. So we want to look at the fine print and find out what we're giving up to get this money. And I definitely will not let politics stand in the way of people. For me, it's people over politics. And I definitely will look forward to moving us forward with money that the government is giving us, if we can afford to do so. We don't want to give up any money that we don't necessarily have to do so. We don't want to give more money to get little money.
Thank you. Ms. Walls?
Yes. First, I would do as your commissioner. I would see where the funds was allocated, see where they went, and see what was done with those funds, of course. And then from there, make sure I'm transparent with my District 3 citizens, and then move on from there. Let them know what's going on with the funds, but we have to start with what's been allocated and then move on from there, including the community.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bell?
This is a simple question, straight down the line. Have you ever done any budgets or any business or whatever? Okay, first of all, we're not going to turn down the free money. The expiration date is the expiration date. You can't change that. So we prioritize the money that's expiring first. So whatever that those funds are tied to, as far as the expenditures or whatever, the way the money has to be spent according to the infrastructure program by President Biden. We do what's expiring first. We let the community know, hey, if we don't act on this right now, these funds will expire. And I think once the community knows that we will lose free money, I think the politics will go out of the window.
Thank you. Ms. Messiah?
All right. So, my understanding is that, unfortunately, the deadline for the American Rescue Plan Act, particularly as provided by HUD, has been designated, and it's supposed to be designated at the end of this year, and it's also that District 3 that has made their final allocations at the beginning of 2024. So it's unlikely that myself or any of the other candidates will have the ability to be able to vote on these allocations. I'm sorry, other candidates for District 3 that will be able to vote on these allocations unless I win outright in November, on November 5th. I'll do that with your help and your support.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Super District 7 candidates. The same question: how will you prevent politics from slowing down the process of allocating and using federal funds? Let's start with Miss Jacqueline Adams.
Thank you, Larry, for that question. Okay, federal funds, such as those provided by the American Rescue Plan.
Yes.
They're crucial for addressing infrastructure challenges in DeKalb County. And I will work to ensure those funds are used swiftly and effectively by fostering transparency and accountability. My approach will involve regular updates to the public and close collaboration with our commissioners to prioritize the county's most pressing needs, minimizing political interference. Clear timelines and performance metrics will help ensure these funds are deployed in the most impactful way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go to Dr. Ladina Bolton.
Thank you. And we've seen recently, or we've witnessed how those who work for the county have rushed into allocating funds for rental assistance. We've seen that because they were due to expire within days. And that rush to hurry up and allocate or spend those funds was an example of poor financial management, poor service delivery. We were doing a disservice to those in need and to the residents of the county. As a global program manager, this is something I did regularly. We had clear planning and prioritization for funds before they were received, which means we created a skeleton of a schedule for regular benchmarks and quarterly evaluations to determine when and how the funds would be used. So when they were received, they would be used efficiently. I would ensure that 90% of funds would be allocated within 18 months to prevent expiration. I would establish a nonpartisan oversight committee, which would be a task force to help with decision-making and avoid political delays, in addition to some other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Demetrius McCoy.
Thank you, Larry. You know, for me, this is not a hypothetical question. It's a realistic question because it's what I've been doing in my time serving currently. You know, but I want to let folks know I didn't just start this work when I came to DeKalb. When I worked in Congress for Congressman John Barrow, I was happy to be a veterans caseworker working with our local, federal, and state partners. It's something that's required that we do to make sure that politics never gets in front of the people. So partnerships and relationships matter, but beyond that, it's one of the reasons why leaders from Stonecrest and leaders from Tucker and leaders from all across our district see the work that I've done and are endorsing and supporting me because they know I never put politics in front of people, and it's never rhetoric and it's never hypothetical. It's realistic and getting real issues done. It's what I have done as chief of staff, and guess what? It's what I'm going to do when I'm elected as the next commissioner from the Super District 7. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Kenneth Roy.
Thank you, Larry. To keep politics from delaying the use of federal funds, I will push for clear deadlines and transparent tracking of projects. These funds, whether from infrastructure law, the American Rescue Plan, or other sources, are critical for improving DeKalb's infrastructure. We cannot allow political disagreements to get in the way of that progress that our community so desperately needs. By establishing regular public reports on the status of these reports, we'll ensure accountability and keep everyone informed on how that money is being spent. I'll also work with county officials and community leaders to foster collaboration across the board, ensuring that focus stays on what's best for DeKalb residents, not political maneuvering. Keeping the public engaged and informed is essential in maintaining momentum. Transparency will help prevent unnecessary delays and ensure that these funds are used effectively and on time to benefit our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final prepared question is, you will have to run for re-election in less time than your peers, 2 years. How will you ensure the separation between governing and campaigning? Let's start again with Super District 7 candidates, Mr. Kenneth Roy.
Forgot to take myself off mute. My apologies. With an even shorter term, my top priority will always be to serve the people for DeKalb County. Governing first, I will always remain focused on delivering tangible results to our community, whether it's providing infrastructure, addressing safety concerns, or expanding housing options. The best campaign is demonstrating effective leadership through action. To ensure a clear separation, I will dedicate time specifically for governing and staying transparent with my actions. I'll also work closely with my team to manage the campaign side without letting it interfere with my responsibilities to the county. By staying focused on the issues and continue to make progress for our residents, I believe voters will see the value in re-electing me when that time comes. My work for DeKalb will not be all about politics. It'll be about results. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Ms. Jacqueline Adams.
Well, thank you, Larry. It's about how can you? It's about being ethical and having integrity and not stealing taxpayers' funds. I strongly believe in maintaining ethical standards in governance. When running for election, I would not campaign during work hours, and I would keep my duties as commissioner separate from any political activities. My focus will remain on serving the residents of DeKalb County with the same dedication and commitment as I do every day. My work as a commissioner will speak for itself, and I will strive to earn the community's continued support based on the results I deliver. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Dr. Bolton.
Thank you, Larry. And you're right, balancing that can be difficult for some folks. But that's where, again, I say leadership experience matters. Proven leaders do things such as their mothers, their wives, their program managers and scientists, their nonprofit owners and community leaders. All of this I'm able to manage now. So being able to balance working for the community and campaigning is no issue, because my work in the community is enough campaigning to prove I deserve to be reelected. I've worked with DeKalb Dems. I've worked with many of you to prove and show you now that I'm able to balance a plethora of different tasks. I have different roles on the committee, and therefore I have the proven track record to show that there's no trouble in balancing both of them. In fact, there are candidates who are working and campaigning simultaneously, but you can trust and believe Bolton will not do that.
Thank you. Let's go to Mr. Demetrius McCoy.
Thank you so much, Larry. You know, anyone can make empty promises, but we're talking about delivery here. And so the reality is I'm very confident, as I've done with integrity, as I always lead with integrity, that we got to make sure that when we're campaigning, you know, folks go and they'll make promises about what they're going to do. And then when they're elected, they just run away from those promises that they made. But the reality is the same consistency that you have when you reach out to folks when you're campaigning, you got to have it when you're governing, reaching out, communicating with folks. But there should be no commingling between the two. So I want folks to know that as I've always led with integrity, it's the reason why I'm here. I want folks to know that I'm here because I understand the issues, and the people in DeKalb know, and those who I've had the opportunity to work and deliver results for, not make promises to, but deliver results for, understand that and know that. That's why I'm going to be elected as the next commissioner from Super District 7. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to District 3 candidates. The question again is, how will you ensure the separation between governing and campaigning? Let's start with Mr. Bell.
Well, that's simple because, you know, campaigning, you're trying to win the support of the voters, which I guess could be just by doing your job, which I plan to do, is do my job very well. But like I said, I'm bringing integrity back. So I'm not going to do like other candidates have done in the past and try to use county facilities, county money to, influence votes, for as food boxes or the amphitheater or any of those tactics. I think that the campaign should spend its own money to campaign and keep the government and the government's money, the people's money, separate from the campaign. Simple as that.
Thank you. Ms. Messiah.
So already in my professional responsibilities, I have to respect the roles that the public entrusts me with and ensure that there are no conflicts between myself and them, both as an attorney and a broker in dealing with the funds that belong to other individuals. In 2 years, I'll do the same thing as I will do from day one, and that's focus on governing first and campaigning next. And campaigning is separate from my commission work. I believe that people will see my work, my focus in serving them, and they will re-elect me as their commissioner for DeKalb County District 3.
Thank you. And now to Mr. Tommy Travis.
Thank you, Larry. To use an old, I'm an ex-athlete. Now I like to use an old comparison here. You play like you practice. I believe that integrity, experience, and accountability is something that you should bring to any role that you do. And I've been doing that. I've been doing it for over 20 years. I've been doing it the 10 years I've been working for DeKalb County. I'm the only candidate in District 3 that's completely 100% transparent and 100% accountable with campaign finances with the state. So I say this, as a commissioner, I'll be 100% accountable, transparent to the voters. Campaigning will take care of itself because I'll be working for the commissioners, working for the citizens from day one. I will be working in the community, serving, being visible, handling their issues, communicating with them proactively, not reactively, and they will reelect me easily in 2 years.
Thank you. Let's go to Ms. Walls.
Yes, thank you again. Like I said, I have served DeKalb, still serving DeKalb with my transportation company, and will continue to serve DeKalb in the future. One thing I know is when you work for the people and when you serve the community, you don't have to really campaign, because they will see your actions, and your actions will speak louder than anything that you will have to say. So within the 2 years of me being your DeKalb County Commissioner for District 3, my actions will be my record. And with those actions and with that record, you as my community and neighbors and residents will re-elect me as your DeKalb County Commissioner for District 3. So remember, on November 5th, when you do go to vote, scroll all the way down to Commissioner District 3, select Jake Walls for that position, so that I could prove to you that my actions will speak louder than my words. And let's get it done.
Thank you, Ms. Walls. All right, so that's the end of our prepared questions. Let's go to some of the questions submitted by the audience. The first one is, DeKalb is home to thousands of veterans. Many of them are homeless. What are you going to do about supporting those who serve? Let's start again with Ms. Walls.
Veterans are very important to me. I'm named after my father. My father is a Vietnam War veteran who was a airborne Green Beret who passed last year. I also do a Veteran Resource Expo that I've been doing for the last 7 years, even as a commissioner. I've been doing it for the last 7 years because I understand the importance of having these resources for our veterans, because these veterans have served us endlessly. So as far as with the homeless situation, yes, it's very important to me that we give veterans affordable housing, but not only just affordable housing, but also the resources with mental health, with filing claims, to make sure they have other resources that they need as veterans, because like I said, they keep us safe, they protect us in this country. So I'm very supportive of making sure our veterans are taken care of.
Thank you. Mr. Bell.
Well, of course, I'm a veteran, a disabled Marine Corps veteran, hoorah. And it pains me to know that there's an $8 million animal shelter, but there's not a shelter for veterans. It boggles my mind, because these veterans are, they've served their country. Some of them may have mental issues or whatnot that we should be helping them out with. And I think if we provide the services, you will see these veterans become productive citizens again, because they were productive at one time and they can be again. But we're not dedicating the resources to the reason why we're on this Zoom call tonight. The reason why we're not speaking in Russian and Chinese is because of our military, because of the threat of the American military is why we have the freedoms that we do. So we need to treat our veterans with the respect that they deserve.
Thank you. Let's go to Ms. Messiah.
My understanding is that there are programs such as the DeKalb County Veterans Assistance Commission. It's supposed to be a countywide organization. It provides services and financial aid to veterans and their families. Also, there is a recent allocation by one of our former commissioners to the Veterans Treatment Court. In sum, there are programs that exist, but they can be improved. And the way to improve those type of programs is to make sure that there's an allocation of resources and finances to ensure that they continue to run. One of the things that I've had the benefit of being able to do is to be able to volunteer in our veterans clinic as an attorney pro bono. My dad was in the Navy. It was a Navy NARC. Several of my uncles were in the Army. My grandfather, Army. It came from a very stark military background family. I believe in supporting our veterans. If we don't make sure that there's resources out there for them, specifically related to mental health and ensuring they can provide for themselves, it's just going to perpetuate an ongoing issue that, quite frankly, have been going on for years.
Thank you. Let's go to Mr. Tommy Travis.
Thank you, Larry. I 100% support veterans and I thank them for their service. And I would definitely strengthen the resources that we already have here in DeKalb County for veterans. One thing I would do differently is that the same way I would go and provide wraparound services for students and parents of these students in our school systems, I would definitely reach out and find the veterans or find the resources or the partners out there who can find these veterans and reach out to them to get them the resources that they need. Because a lot of times they're homeless, not because of their own doing it, it's just they can't find the resources. So you have to find people who have to go out and get to these veterans, the homeless ones, and bring them to the resources or let them know the resources exist. So as for me, I would definitely strengthen these resources. But the thing I would do differently is I would engage partners to bring those resources to the veterans in need. So that's where we get them treatment that they need and get them off the streets and into housing.
Thank you. Now let's go to District 7, District 7 candidates. The same question, how will you support the veterans, many of them who are homeless or without houses? Let's start with Dr. Ladina Bolton.
Thank you, Larry. I want to start by saying I come from a family of veterans. My father, a Marine, my brothers, Army, National Guard, and many more throughout my family. So I understand the plight of having a loved one go off to Iraq, Afghanistan, stay away for months at a time, come back, and don't have the support that they gave to us, giving their lives. One of the things that I've found being in the community is there are resources there. When you go to the VA, they have opportunities, but there's so much red tape, so much difficulty, and not enough help to actually capitalize on those things. But once you do get it, now you're being transferred to the county. You have your voucher for housing, but there's no housing available. We have to work more closely, partner with the VA, federal government, nonprofit organizations to make sure veterans have an easy, streamlined process with getting the housing they deserve. They've more than earned it. So it's our responsibility to make a path and a relationship to help them get their housing.
Thank you. Let's go to Mr. Demetrius McCoy.
Thank you so much, Larry. This issue is near and dear to me also. As I was in high school, my brother went away to serve our country in the United States Air Force, my grandfather and my great uncle, both in the military. And so I understand the issues of how serving, certainly even during wartime, can impact our veterans. Beyond that, as a veterans caseworker, working every single day on the issues of veterans who came into our office, some of them homeless, understanding that through a partnership with the Veterans Administration and HUD, there's rapid housing vouchers to get our veterans housed, but there needs to be stronger partnership to make sure that we can provide the resources to our veterans as they need them. Beyond that, we have to make sure that we in DeKalb County do what we can, because as we know, Veterans Affairs is a federal agency, but we need to reinstate the DeKalb Veterans Advisory Board to have a clear voice and message as it relates to communicating with our Veterans Administration and our federal partners. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Royal.
Thank you.
Mr. Roy, just to let you know, we can't hear you at the moment.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Can you hear me now? Excellent.
Yes.
So part of the problem is we have services that we don't really talk about, and we're not putting them out there for our community to take advantage of. But as someone who believes in service to the community, I'm committed to ensuring that our veterans, especially those facing home, gets the help they need. First, I will work to increase access to affordable housing by partnering with have a safe place to call home. Second, I'll collaborate with nonprofits and veteran organizations to provide comprehensive services or support services to include job training, especially mental health care and
all right, thank you, Mr. Roy.
Veterans with the tools they need.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roy. Just to let you know that you're back to going in and out, so you might want to change your location. Next, let's go to Miss Jacqueline Adams.
Okay. I mean, God, this is my dear thing. I love the veterans. I'm an advocate for veterans, and I support veterans all over the world. My husband's a veteran, and all of my brothers are. I got a good friend, Lavita Bennett. She's a veteran. And there's resources for veterans on va.gov. The National Association of Black Military Women and other organizations have, it's a lot of resources for them. Many veterans have mental illnesses and need someone to just hold their hand, just as they held our hands. You know, they fought for us. But the unhoused has become challenging in time as time increased. All of us is one step away from a paycheck and being homeless. You know, I have ideas to use closed and abandoned buildings to address the issue and partner with Commissioner Robert Patrick on his DASH project. The project is to remove debris around the establishment and provide shelter in a temporary state and teach skills of housing to individuals. So I would customize skills on an as needed basis. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There were also a lot of questions about development and beautification of South DeKalb, and I think it can be summed up in this question. If elected, how will each of you work with our newly elected CEO to redevelop the Candler Road corridor and attract businesses, mixed-use developments to revitalize our community? Let's go to District 3 candidates, since the majority of that falls within District 3. Let's start with Ms. Jake Walls.
Yes, I was looking for the question. Well, one thing that is important when you do become a commissioner for DeKalb County District 3 and Super District 7 is to have not only that relationship with the incoming CEO, Madam CEO-elect Lorraine Cochran Johnson, but to also have the relationship with the rest of the commissioners on the board as well. One thing I would do is, like I said before, have meetings. With those meetings, I will listen to the community. With those meetings, the community will be heard. With those meetings, we will have the community meetings, will be town hall meetings, and will be meetings or a meeting that we can and will include the CEO so that she can listen to the issues that we in District 3 are facing. And together, we will come up with a solution that will improve District 3, like I said, to become a respected, safe, thriving community that we can all be proud to call home. So you got to have that relationship. That's number one. Thank you.
Let's go to Mr. Andrew Bell.
Yeah, I'm all for working with this new CEO. I'm more in support of the convention center that's not in my district, that's proposed in Chamblee, because I think that's an area where it can be competitive with the airport. It's near Buckhead, so forth, etc. I've seen some of the plans for South DeKalb Mall, but we like I said, we don't need a plan for an individual building per se. We need a plan for the area. Community, it's the community's money. I'm all for the community's input, but a lot of the community may not know the intricacies of economic development. And so you have to have leadership, bring in the people that have done this successfully. That's what a leader does. A leader gets people that know what they're doing and get the thing done. So we have to have a revitalization of the whole Candler Road corridor, not just the mall. And so if we can come together on the plan, I'm all for it.
Thank you. Ms. Messiah.
So I plan to work with our incoming CEO-elect Lorraine Cochran Johnson and any CEO that may come after, is just, being able to provide what's necessary to ensure that we have the infrastructure, to ensure that we have the funding, to make sure that we have the resources essentially that are necessary to encourage quality development here in DeKalb. Make sure that there's a spirit of collaboration and cooperation, working closely with partners like Decide DeKalb, government entities such as that, and private developers that are interested in putting the type of businesses and developments into DeKalb that we actually need as a community, and is going to help the community thrive, and the community is going to support. First, by ensure that we get their input, but also that we work together once that's presented with the other commissioners, and to make a determination that suits and the needs of the district residents and the
Thank
community.
you, Ms. Masai. And let's go to Tommy Travis, Mr. Tommy Travis.
Thank you, Larry. Larry, could you repeat the question, please, just for me and the audience?
Sure. If elected, how will each of you work with our newly elected CEO to redevelop the Candler Road corridor and attract businesses, mixed-use developments to revitalize our community?
Thank you, Larry. Firstly, I guess I'll be the one to answer the question. To work with the incoming CEO, Madam CEO, Lorraine Cochran Johnson, I was first establish a spirit of collaboration with us, because if you don't have that spirit of collaboration or trust or goodwill amongst one another, you will not be able to work with the other person. And collaboration is what I'm all about, because I'm also all about District 3. So in that spirit of collaboration, I will let it be known that I'm all about District 3. I know that she has a plan for South DeKalb Mall and revitalization of that Candler Road corridor. So using the resources that we have, such as Decide DeKalb and other resources from private and public partnerships, I think that if Madam CEO comes to the table with a spirit of collaboration and is looking out for District 3, then she won't have a problem with me, because I would definitely be, I will vote for whatever initiative that she has planned, and we can move District 3 forward and do something with that mall, because if she has a plan, I'll vote for it.
Thank you. Let's go to the District 7 candidates. Let's start with Mr. Kenneth Roy.
Thank you very much. I want to make sure you can hear me. I've been having issues, obviously. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent.
Yes.
I work closely with the new CEO to make Candler Road a priority in our revitalization and beautification efforts. This starts with a shared vision for improvement and appearance and functionality for this important corridor within our community. Together, we'll focus on securing funding through local, state, and federal sources for landscaping, streetscaping, and public art projects that reflect the pride of this community. I'll also push for collaboration between the CEO's office, local businesses, and residents to develop a plan that enhances both the aesthetics and economic vitality of Candler Road. We'll also address infrastructure needs such as sidewalks, lighting, and safe crosswalks, making the area more pedestrian-friendly and attractive to new businesses. By working hand in hand with the CEO, we can ensure that Candler Road becomes a model of how investment and beautification can lead to a stronger, more vibrant community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Larry. And I am so ready to work with our CEO. It's the women time, and I'm ready to work with a strong woman that's able to carry this county forward. I will work with her tooth and nails, ready to just make DeKalb a better place for us to live in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Bolton.
Thank you, Larry. As was uttered before, it's really important to emphasize the fact that relationships do matter. And the CEO-elect and I have worked on some projects together already in the Peachcrest area, where we've cleaned up the corridor around the school, making it safer for the kids as they're walking to and fro. We also worked with public safety to get that done. Other commissioners partnered with surrounding communities like the Towers Community Association. You can get more of that through the relationship that I have with her. And I would extend that not just the Candler Road, but Glenwood area, because I live in that area. It's one of the most underserved areas in the community. So I am driven to help improve those underserved areas because I'm directly impacted by them. And so with those strong relationships, proven track records with measurable results of work I have done with the CEO, there's no doubt we can have the beautiful communities that you are looking forward to having. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy.
Thank you, Larry. I look forward to working with our incoming CEO, Commissioner Lorraine Cochran Johnson. There are initiatives that she has put forward that I'm already supportive of in terms of the small box ordinance, as well as the donation box ordinance. I think those are great legislation, and I know that she's going to offer a stellar leadership as our new CEO, and I look forward to working with her. To answer your question, there are a lot of legacy residents that live in that Candler Road corridor, and we've got to make sure that while there may be a plan to redevelop it, that those legacy residents, particularly our seniors, are not displaced from where they live because we want to improve the corridor. I think that we can make smart economic growth, smart development, while making sure that we protect our citizens who have done so much for us and whose shoulders we stand on, our seniors in particular. And then I think we need to work with Decide DeKalb along with our new incoming CEO, who I know have already been in partnership, looking forward to working collaboratively, because that's the way that we get positive economic growth that's good for all of us.
Thank you. Now that's the end of the questions from the audience. Let's move forward to closing statements. Let's start with Super District 7 candidates, Mr. Demetrius McCoy.
Thank you so much, Larry. And thank you to the DeKalb Dems, to every person that is watching this, and all of the candidates tonight. I grew up in South DeKalb. I told you already where I was raised, but I want you to know that for over a decade, I've dedicated my life to serving the citizens of DeKalb. It's not about a job or a position. It's all about service and about the people. It's what I've dedicated my entire life to, what my wife, Dr. Mariah, an educator, has dedicated her life to, what my family values have been about. And so I want you to know this, that I offer clear vision, bold, and steady leadership that will move us forward in DeKalb County. I'm running because I understand that the people of DeKalb have a promise that we need to make sure we fulfill for our children, and particularly for my wife and I, for our sons. And I want people to know, to learn more about my campaign. We're going to take this campaign all across the Super District 7 corridor, from Doraville all the way down to Stonecrest, over to Tucker, over to Pine Lake, Stone Mountain, and Lithonia. I want everyone to know that across DeKalb County and across Super District 7, that the Real McCoy is coming to your neighborhood. Some of you already heard from me, and I appreciate the support you've given me. To learn more, visit votedemetriusmccoy.com. I am the Real McCoy, focused on real issues, but delivering real results. Thank you all so much for your time. I look forward to serving as your next commissioner from the Super District 7.
Thank you. Let's go to Mr. Kenneth Roy.
Thank you very much. If anyone knows me, I'm not a polished politician. I'm a proven servant leader. My journey has never been about titles or spotlights. It's about making real, meaningful change for the people I care deeply about. As someone who has worked in law enforcement, served in corporate leadership, has been an active member in this community, I've always put service first. I understand the struggles and hopes of DeKalb County because I live them and I live alongside them. When Georgia turned blue in 2020, I stood with the DeKalb Democrats fighting for progress and a better future for all of us. Now I'm standing before you, not because I want to be a career politician, but because I'm committed to delivering real results. I believe in transparency and being accountable, and in making sure our government works for the people, not only for personal or political gains. I'm here to serve you and to fight for safer neighborhoods, stronger infrastructure plans, more affordable housing, and real economic opportunities. This isn't about politics for me, it's about our community. Our future depends on leadership that is genuine, dedicated, and truly connected to the people. I'm a leader, and together we can build a DeKalb County. We can build a DeKalb County that's better for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, DeKalb Dems, for this introduction. Again, I am Jacqueline Adams, and what we need are leaders who put people over politics and focus on real solutions that will improve our quality of life. My priorities are clear: safety, economic development, and supporting our senior veterans and children. I've already begun collaborating with local organizations like Strickland Security Services to address safety concerns with the artificial intelligence, and I have developed programs to support education and mentorship in our community. Through my work as co-founder and CEO of Restoration International Ministries, my family and I have tirelessly served those in need, from local to international efforts. My mission has always been to support and uplift communities because services knows no bounds. My public service extends into political advocacy as well. In 2015, I was elected as post-seat holder for House District 86, where I worked to bring strategic direction to our local Democratic Party and ensure the voices of our community was heard. My journey in politics has never been about the title. It's about the building bridges between elected officials and the people we serve. But many more of my qualifications I won't emphasize. But I want to emphasize my values, my honesty, my integrity, and a deep love for people. I'm committed to transparency and accountability, and I believe in telling my own story, just as I believe in listening to yours. I promise you that if elected, I will not lose focus on the responsibility of this office. I will work tirelessly to represent you with the same commitment and integrity that I brought to every other title I hold. I humbly ask you for your support and your vote in this election. Let's continue to work for making DeKalb County a thriving, united, and prosperous community for all. Thank you so much. I am Jacqueline Adams, and I approve this message.
Thank you. Dr. Bolton.
Thank you again for this opportunity, and to everybody that have given us the past 2 hours of your time. As I've uttered throughout this evening, leadership experience matters. You know my work ethic and my leadership because I've knocked doors with you. I've marched beside you and advocated for you. Your vote will put DeKalb in a position to be either an extraordinary county or an extraordinary county. If you're more comfortable being ordinary, vote for experience. But if you want better and believe that we can be extraordinary, vote for proven leadership experience. We have been disgruntled with the lack of responsiveness and lackadaisical service delivery of those that have worked in the county for 10, 15, 20 years. If you want better programs, better roads, better opportunities, we've worked for them. Now you can weigh your options in leadership and you'll see that you can have better with Bolton. You can go to my social media platforms, Bolton for DeKalb, my website, also boltonfordecalb.com, to learn more about my leadership experience and our vision for the community and how I plan to implement those goals. Follow me everywhere, reach out to me, invite me to your communities because we have worked together. We are a team working against the establishment.
Thank you. All right, let's move to the closing statements for District 3 candidates. Let's start with Mr. Andrew Bell.
Thank you, and I appreciate your vote starting October the 15th and election day November the 5th. Of course, you know, I'm from here, and anytime you're in your hometown, you're passionate about everything about it. You want everything to be the best. And many of you, and people like me are now the minority. Many of you moved to DeKalb County because you were moving away from where you were from and you wanted to move. Something attracted you to DeKalb County that's probably not in existence anymore. What I want to do is get things going back in the right direction. I know what it takes. I know what we need to do. As far as a fight, I've been fighting the government. That's all I do. I have a civil rights case right now. Next week, this time, October the 1st. We'll know whether my case will be heard by the United States Supreme Court. I did that myself, pro se, all the way, from the courts of Georgia to the federal courts, now in the United States Supreme Court, Bell versus Raffensperger. I'm gonna fight for you the same way that I fight for myself. I started out in politics because the DeKalb County government wouldn't let me build a garage addition to my home. I know that many of you have become attacked by the government instead of the government supporting you. The government is supposed to help you and support you, not be your adversary. I'm your advocate, Andrew Bell. Vote for me October the 15th through November the 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Messiah?
I am without question the most qualified and ready candidate to serve the folks of DeKalb County on day one. More so than any of the other candidates on the ballot in my race. That's important because there are no training wheels on this position. as we swear in immediately after the special election. But more important than my qualifications is in general, in my resume, is the quality of my character. And I know that no one cares what you know until they know that you care. And I'm not doing this for another title, but to serve you because DeKalb County is worth the sacrifice. I'm running to serve our community because I care, and I'm committed to advocating and to fighting for the DeKalb that we deserve. And we have a unique opportunity to do so. We need improvements in public safety and community well-being. We have a need for increased housing and affordability and property retention. And we must have quality economic growth and development in order to thrive here in DeKalb. I need and I want us to do this together. It is our voice, our future, our DeKalb, and I'm here for any questions and to address any of your concerns. I look forward to your vote on November 5th.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tommy Travis.
Thank you, Larry. I didn't come about this decision to run for DeKalb County District 3 Commissioner lightly. After much prayer and meditation, God led me down this path of his grassroots campaign to use my experience and my know-how and my networks to benefit the citizens of DeKalb. The reason why I ran, frankly, is because I didn't like the field. No one else has the experience, the qualifications, nor the tenacity to represent District 3 as much as I do. District 3 is a large district. It serves from Candler Park all the way down to Ellenwood and the Henry County line. And serving those districts will require a commissioner who is fair, who's accountable, who's equitable, who's transparent, who's communicative, who has skills to communicate with all those different people from all those different walks of life in various ways. And I have those skills, I have those capabilities. And using one of my tenets is to revitalize the county information technology. I will use that information technology development to communicate with people effectively, proactively, and get their opinions and hear their thoughts, hear their concerns, and make sure they have access to the county services that they pay for. I'm the only candidate who has been endorsed by the DeKalb County firefighters. I'm the only candidate who's been endorsed by the Atlanta North Georgia Labor Council. I'm the only candidate who's endorsed by the Teamsters local union. So no matter what anybody else will say, give you empty promises, Tommy T for District 3 is the right choice. Early voting starts October 15th through November 1st. And please go to my website at TommyT4District3.com.
Thank you. And Ms. Walls.
Yes, once again, my name is Jake Walls, and I have an emphasis on that because I'm named after my father, a man who was a Vietnam veteran, airborne Green Beret, a man that was also a firefighter till the day he died, till the day he retired. One thing that I have done, not only is in my pedigree as a servant, but I have also served DeKalb County, like I said, for over 16 years, being fire and EMS, as well as we have in my business right now serving the seniors. What District 3 needs is a proven leader. I'll repeat, we need a proven leader, someone that can serve, that is a servant for the people, and someone that will include the people. And one thing that I can promise is that I will have the meetings, I will listen, and I will include the community that I serve. We need to do this together. And that is what I want to bring this to the table. We need to build a better DeKalb together. And how I would do that as your District 3 Commissioner is by being transparent, being the advocate that you need, and as well as having the integrity. The District 3 needs economic development. We need public safety. We need code compliance. We need infrastructure, and we need affordable housing. What else District 3 needs is a leader that could get that job done. So once again, on November 5th, when you do go vote, when you do go to the ballot, make sure you scroll all the way down to District 3 Commissioner and elect Jake Walls for your commissioner for District 3. If you want to learn any more information on me, go to www.jakefordecalb.com.
Thank you. Thank you to all of the candidates for participating in the DeKalb County Democrats Forum. And now I will turn it over to Brandy White, our chair.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Larry. And I want to start off by saying thank you to all of the candidates that were here this evening. This was a wonderful forum. Thank you for taking the time out to share more about your platforms and where you stand on certain positions with the voters of DeKalb. So for our voters that are here with us this evening, you have learned more about who each of these candidates are, how they are planning to address issues here in DeKalb. And I welcome you, each of the candidates have put their information into the chat. I welcome you to reach out to them via their websites, their social media, their emails, to learn a little bit more about them, ask them any further questions that you might have. Again, our commission races are very important, as you've heard from each of our candidates and the issues that we've put forth out this evening, that it's very important to be engaged in what is happening here in DeKalb County, and everything that our candidates are, where their positions stand. In addition to that, I'd also like to welcome everybody. If you've learned more about what our DeKalb County Board of Commissioners does this evening, I welcome you to attend their meetings. Their meetings are typically held, regular business meetings are typically held every second and fourth Tuesday. Those happen at 9 a.m. at the Maloof Auditorium at 1300 Commerce Drive in Decatur. Those regular meetings are open to the public. They're also televised live on Channel 23 as well. There are also committee meetings that our commissioners hold. So if you are interested in learning more and getting more involved with what is happening at our county level, I ask you to please take a look at these meetings, get involved, and learn more about all of the concerns and issues that are happening here in DeKalb. I'd also like to thank our moderator this evening, our third vice chair, Larry Lowe. Thank you for doing such a wonderful job and really making sure that we are focused on the issues of our county and focused on the things that are happening here that our voters are concerned about. And lastly, for those that are here with us this evening, here at DeKalb County Democrats, we are a full volunteer organization. So I would be remiss if I did not share that we are always looking for additional volunteers, looking for donations. We'd also like you to get involved with us. If you go to our website, DeKalbDems.com, you can learn more about what we do. We are really focused on ensuring that we are helping DeKalb to maintain our progressive stance and move forward for our residents and our community here in DeKalb. All right, that is all for me this evening. I am going to pass it back over to Steve Parker, who is our chair for special events, and he is going to close us out for this evening. Steve.
Thank you, Brandy. It was such a pleasure to be here tonight and to hear from all the candidates on very important issues. Thank you all for participating. Thanks, Larry Lowe, for moderating, our technical crew, Amy Farah, Dr. Bola Tillman, Frank Jones, Leona Perry, and Susan McWethy, and Larry Lowe for their research in developing candidate questions, and the special events team for planning this forum. Please check your voter status. And I want to point out some upcoming very important dates. The last day to register to vote is October the 7th. The last day to request an absentee ballot is October 24th. Advance voting begins October 15th and ends on November 1st. Saturday voting is October 19th and 26th, and Election Day is Tuesday, November the 24th. Please vote for these county commissioners. Make a plan to vote now. Are you going to vote absentee? Or are you going to vote in person between October 15th and November 1st? Or will you choose to vote in person on Saturday, October 19th or 26th? If you're voting in person on Election Day, are you prepared to wait in line? Have you set your alarm to be at the poll? Please make a plan. If you need a ride to the polls, call 1-888-977-2250. And if you have any questions about voting, call the Georgia Voter Protection Hotline, 1-877-730-5816. A recording of this forum is available for viewing and sharing on our YouTube video. You can find that at our website, DeKalbDems.com. You'll also discover additional ways to get involved with our organization at the website. And take a look at our events page. We have a lot going on right now, including a benefit concert on Saturday, October 13th at 3 p.m., featuring Grammy and Dove award-winning singer and songwriter Joy Clark from New Orleans. That will be held at the Pink Lion Club in Stonecrest. A must-see event. Finally, it was a pleasure for DeKalb Dems to present you this information. Thank you for joining us tonight and have a great evening. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Great night.